If you go back to the sense of community, the community is any group of people that come together based on their culture, based on their tradition, to associate, to become one. And any community that survives and grows must have their own rules and regulations, guidelines for association, either political, social, economic, even religious, and all of that. It's the body of this that you call the law, okay? And law is, in my own other understanding, it's all about justice and equity, okay? Fairness, that we're together in a community and we treat ourselves fairly. Ultimately, there's a process for deciding what is fair and what is equitable up to the highest level. At the traditional level is the traditional ruler. At the contemporary level is the Supreme Court and the chief judges and all that. That's what it's all about. But then, when 80% or more of Nigerians, as I speak to you, still rely on the traditional justice delivery system, where they feel comfortable about, where they can relate because it's rooted in their culture, rooted in their custom and tradition. When 80% of them rely on that, and that system does not have a clean linkage with the constitutional courts, then there's a problem. And then when you look at the advantages and the distinctions, as our Lord Justice Bagay, now Emir of Lafia, has indicated, justice is delivered cheaply, speedily, and fairly. Okay? But then, if the sense of fairness at the traditional level, you have to make a provision then that such a matter can proceed to the next level. And without that linkage, okay, without that linkage, it becomes difficult. If there's a linkage, then you must come back to the traditional system also. Then the education of the traditional ruler himself and the chiefs and all of that in procedural matters, in administration of law and justice, etc., so that as you lift the standard of the traditional system to rise up to the contemporary system. But as has been pointed out also by Austin Alege very eminently, even the contemporary system can learn from the traditional system in the speed of dispensation of justice, to take away some of the bottlenecks in the contemporary system, the legalese, as they call it, and all of that. So it becomes a mutual learning situation and a mutual linkage that ultimately can serve Nigeria best. That's what it's all about. And for NBA to, for the first time, have a session like this in an annual conference is very laudable. And in my paper, which is already submitted to the NBA, I call for the NBA to now set up a study group, a working group that can now delve into all the intricacies that are there. And it's not going to be easy, but you don't run away because it's difficult. In fact, because it's difficult is why we have to confront it and all that, and then begin to find some convergence. That's what we're looking for, some convergence of both systems and a linkage that is hopefully seamless. And I think it's doable. With all the challenges that are there, it is doable, and we should go ahead and do it. In my paper, the first step I suggest is legislation to subsume the current customary area court into the traditional court, still under the traditional institution. So go back to what the old native court was, okay? But of course, in contemporary times, that's the first thing, because that's an overlap. They're both looking at land matters, at matrimonial matters, at chieftaincy matters. They're looking at the same thing. But then the customary court is statutory. And then they claim now to have superiority, which they don't have, because the majority still come to the traditional court. If you ask my people, where is the traditional court? Where is the customary court? They don't know. If you ask them, where is the traditional court? It's the palace. And every Wednesday, the traditional court holds. Cases are presented, briefs are presented, and the chiefs do their best to adjudicate. The benefit we have, I said, our codes of our custom and tradition are written. They've been written since 1972. The judgments of the traditional court are written. My own judgments as the superior ultimate, I've got about over 30 judgments now, because they come to me rarely, but I've got over 30 judgments which are going to be published as a book for my people, because each ruling I give has further implications for our custom and our tradition. Okay, so that's the first step, is to merge the two. Second step is now to begin to look at how we can now integrate or merge, whatever it is, the two systems, and we can have a seamless relationship. And matters from the traditional court can still be appealed once the constitution is there. They still go there now. We don't call it appeal, we call it a review. Because a statutory court cannot receive an appeal from a non-statutory court. So we say it's a review. But oftentimes, actually, they now start afresh when they go to the statutory court. They start the case afresh, which is okay.
That's a waste of time.
Well, that is true. That is true.